Shivambu.
Thanks, Chair. I want this Helen Suzman Foundation to explain this wild allegation and supposition that they're making here that expropriation without compensation cannot be justified if the beneficiaries come from the wealthier sections of society. If this happens, the position of the poor will worsen and political dissatisfaction will increase. I would need the clearer context. And quickly, Chair, they keep on making reference as well to the high-level panel report of which was chaired by former President Helen Suzman. One is that that report was not sanctioned by Parliament. It has never been adopted by Parliament. It doesn't have any official status. It's an opinion of people like your opinion. It has got no status. It was the Speaker's issue, which has got nothing to do with official parliamentary resolutions. So it has got no status in terms of what should happen. But also, aren't you suggesting that we must keep the status quo in terms of land ownership, which is predominantly white because of colonial dispossession, because of apartheid, which Helen Suzman participated in and legitimated by being part of the apartheid parliament? Aren't you suggesting?
Point of order, Chair.
Sierra, point of order.
No, Honourable Member, you're not supposed to wait for him to finish with a point
Yeah.
of order, and you know that.
All right, let's hear the point of
It
order.
is fundamentally clear that Helen Suzman spent her entire life fighting against the apartheid system.
That's a point
And
of
what
argument.
Mr. Shivambu has just said is patently untrue.
All right. That's the, it's the point of debate now.
Yeah, it's a point of debate, Chair. And
No, please.
even the objection is not
Yeah,
correct
yeah.
because Helen Suzman was an apartheid collaborationist who
yeah.
even campaigned for the
Yeah.
increase of social grants for whites
no,
only.
Honorable Shivambu,
A
please,
white
let's
supremacist. So
don't-
we are not shocked
don't
even by
go
the
down
position
that
of the Helen
road.
Suzman Foundation because she was a reactionary who pretended to be against apartheid. The question is, are you saying we should maintain the apartheid property relations where the white minority are in ownership and control of the land at expense of the black indigenous populations who were dispossessed through violence, through murder, through rape, through all sorts of harassment that got to violently remove our people from the land? Are you saying that we must just keep the status quo? And if not, what else do we do except removing a stumbling block that says that if we're to amend, if we're to take back the land, there must be payments, there must be amounts, because the Constitution mentions payment. The Constitution mentions amounts. Are you saying we must leave that, we must not do anything about the Constitution? Is that what you come and say, you left wherever you came from, to come and present here? That we must leave the status quo in terms of the Constitution? 3 old white men who benefited under apartheid coming here to
Honorable
say that
Shivambu,
we
you are
must not
totally-
change the Constitution.
It's not
You're going to take some
acceptable.
control over this meeting at
on-
some point.
Honorable Shivambu, please, let's treat our fellow citizens with respect and dignity. Helen Suzman, whatever the views they represent, they are legitimate. They are here within the rights that are accorded to them. So we can't attack them for being here and for expressing whatever they view and representing whatever the values they represent. So please refrain, and I've been asking you today to refrain. It's wrong. Helen Suzman, please answer.
Mr. Chair, I'm not sure that you're aware that the Honourable Member here next to me is just ignoring you.
Who?
She carries
Sorry?
on her own conversation. She doesn't listen to anything you say when you make a ruling, and she just carries on waffling on in her own. Could you control over this meeting?
What's your problem when?
Honorable Shivambu,
Mr. Chairman,
please,
Mr.
let's
Excuse
treat
me.
this
You must
process
live with this.
with integrity. Please.
Mr. Chairman, as the meeting is beginning to get out of order in a way which is from my point of view, at least as the director, unacceptable. May I ask you to adjourn the meeting for 5 minutes? I'm aware that blood sugar levels may be causing this, until the members of your committee have calmed down. Would you consider that, please, Mr. Chairman?
No. Honorable Shivambu, please help us. And please refrain, members, to do this. The issue is that
Chairperson.
you went beyond the
Chairperson.
scope of the committee, and that's out of order.
Chair, I'm really
no,
sorry.
but you have to respect the process and treat the process with integrity, you as an honorable member, and don't attack the presenters, and don't go beyond the scope that the committee has agreed upon. That's the principle.
Chairperson, I'm really sorry.
Yes, Honorable Carter.
Yeah, Chair, I really think for a member to stand here and tell another member that I'm going to, and I'm sorry, I'm quoting, bliksem you, is really not the thing to do. I really think that the member should leave his committee. This is just not acceptable.
I'll be happy to leave the committee, Mr. Chair.
Sorry? Who said? All right, no, members, please, let's continue. I mean, you can't conduct yourselves like this. Members, you can't conduct yourselves like that. You are even
Chair.
You are even asked by the guests to go and cool off.
Chairperson,
It can't be right.
Chairperson,
Yes.
just quickly on the point of order. So, this member from the phasing out organization called COPE says that she's calling a point of order because someone said Blacksem, and then she thought it is the member
I
of
think she
EFF.
meant White Sam.
And then what happened, then the person who said Blacksem owns up that it's her who said it, but immediately she withdraws that because it's a white person who said it. But when it's a black person, she was saying you must remove that person from the committee. Like it's one of the issues that we're dealing with here.
Members, don't. I mean, I don't understand what are you all dealing about. The position of Helen Suzman Foundation is before you. If you need clarity, ask clarity there. Whatever you are trying to do, you will have your opportunity at a particular time. Why you raise your blood sugar? Really, why? I don't understand it. You can't change anybody here. You have no power to do that. Helen Suzman, please reply if there's anything to reply.
Chair, there's quite a lot to reply.
All
I
right.
presume that this sort of altercation, which members of parliament are probably used to, but which don't happen out there in the real world, are not going to impact on the time which we have in order to present, discuss, and deliberate. So I will presume that is will indicate our position. Firstly, on the question of the high-level panel, of course it's not a parliamentary committee. Members of parliament must not presume that people outside of parliament suffer from a severe lack of intelligence. We can read, we understand what it is. It's a policy document. We are a research institution of in the first order. We look at a wide variety of research in arriving at a decision. And in terms of the research for that particular chapter, perhaps one of the most informed researchers, Aninka Claassen, had a major and a significant role. Aninka Claassen has a long history of land, and I would like to say that is why we looked at it, because it's a very comprehensive view of the issue. Secondly, and I must address this, and this will not come out of our time, I trust, Mr. Chairman, on the question of Helen Suzman. I find that the remarks about her being a reactionary and so on and so forth deeply objectionable.
Point of order, Chair. No, point of order, Chair. Point of order, Chair, please.
Honorable Fulton.
Thank you.
No.
May I humbly appeal to the Speaker, through you, to stop making constant references to what is happening on this side of the... That's beyond his scope. He must just stick to the subject matter.
No.
If he's
Honorable
done,
Fulton.
out of Parliament.
No.
Thank you.
Honorable Fulton, you know that you first don't throw stones if you're living in a glass house. So, because they have a right to reply. They can't go when a record, you see, when you speak here, you speak on a record. Somebody speaks on a record and they go without correcting a record. It cannot be acceptable. So don't
On
do...
correcting us.
Don't,
You can't keep on correcting us.
no. Or when you say things beyond your scope, when you invite them on a particular scope, you go beyond the scope, then they have a right to reply. It's just common sense.
Allow them, Chair, to defend a reactionary apartheid collaborationist called Helen Suzman, who
Honorable
participated
Shivambu,
in
I have
apartheid
requested-
parliament.
No, Honorable
Allow them,
Shivambu.
please.
Come and regulate our behavior here. You don't.
No, they don't, but you are also regulated in terms of how you conduct yourselves and express yourself. All right, Honorable, continue, Director.
Thank you very much. I was asked to respond to 4 different issues. The second one being Helen Suzman, and I'm responding to it. I reject that out of hand. I cannot be responsible for other people's lack of a history. Thirdly, the question of dispossession from both as a result of colonialism is a widespread history. The obvious people in terms of the imperial and the colonial and later on the apartheid projects are black people, not only black people, Indians, coloreds as well. Later on, even Jews, believe it or not, and others, such as Middle Easterners, are all dispossessed. So this question of dispossession and colonialism is important. We've got to address this for all South Africans. And that is our plea, that dispossession is a complex social issue. How do we address it? My colleagues have said changing the constitution is not going to address it. There is already the existing framework to address it. My colleague had spoken about the failure, as Ruth Hall said the other day in this very chamber. We're asking the wrong questions. It's not about changing the constitution. It's about why hasn't government for the last quarter of a century addressed that question. I'm quoting her. And on the question finally, and I was dismayed that it came up about 3 white old men. The operative word here is not white. I'm so pleased now I've been reclassified in terms of the Population Registration Act. I'm delighted, or not, as the case may be. I would say the operative word is old. The Helen Suzman Foundation, like all NGOs, is constrained. We are all retired men, and that's why we take this job up. Because we're passionate about this country, we are passionate about justice, and we are passionate about fairness. Thank you.